Parental triggers. I know that your kids get on your nerves, you love them, but they trigger you sometimes. Today, I want to talk a little bit about parental triggers. You see, we have wounds from our childhood that we bring into adulthood that unconsciously influences how we parent. And a lot of times, stress may trigger you, parent, and you interact with your children from your childhood wound. And a lot of times, this causes a discord within your relationship with your kids. And sometimes it can cause regret later on and really hinder the development of this relationship and cause a lot of pain to your loved ones and even yourself. So, something I want to talk to you about today is understanding your parental triggers and identifying it, and we're going to find a way to heal from them. So, what is a parental trigger? A parental trigger is a behavior that may trigger this large emotional response to a situation. You know what I'm talking about. So, if your kid disrespects you or is not listening, and you have a big emotional response to some of those behaviors, then you're being triggered. I'm sorry to tell you that. So, what I want us to do is identify some of the triggers, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of those triggers. So, one trigger may be when your kid is disrespecting you. When your kid disrespects you, you may feel undervalued and just have this sense of no control because they are not respecting the tenets and your words and what you deem as important. Another trigger can be when they're defiant. And defiance is when they are not listening. You know how that feels and what may come up on the inside. And when they're defiant and they're not listening to you, that may create anger and just feel that this rage. Not everybody. When they backtalk, when they decide that they are going to talk back to you and really think that they are your equals. And sometimes, parents, you may feel like, look, you're the child, I'm the adult. Another trigger can be exhaustion, that you're exhausted from being a parent, being a person, working, holding down the family, all these different roles that you play, and you're just pure exhausted. Another one is chaos, noise. Because you may want order, right, in your home, in the car, in these spaces, in these environments, but your children don't want that. Just this noise, chaos, and just mess can be a trigger because you want something in order and tranquil. And so, something else that can be a trigger is your unresolved childhood trauma. Yep, that can be a trigger. When you may be triggered by your child that is doing something or doing something opposite of something that brings up your childhood trauma, you may be triggered and you actually may go into this survival, fight or flight, and you're no longer their parent, you are actually a child. And so some of these triggers can really bring up this stuff that we have a tendency to pack in the corners of our being. And those are just to name a few. Some other triggers can simply be, academic success, the stress of a parent projecting the wants and their needs on their child for them to be successful academically. And also, when there's a behavior issue at school, that can put a lot of stress and that can cause you, parents, to trigger. Something else can be like battling for screen time, when to put down your electronic devices. And also, sibling fighting and being able to be the referee can be a trigger because it can also make you think of your own issues with your sibling if you have any. Parental triggers are real. Your kids can really push the buttons but it's your obligation to really check yourself because your kids just got here. You've been here, and it's your obligation to be the adult. And sometimes we're not going to always be the adult by age, but we'll be the adult, but emotionally, we are sometimes stuck at the age of where our trauma occurred. So there's three things that I really want us to think about, right? Around the root cause of why someone may have issues when a child is disrespectful and defiant. A root cause can be that you parents may have come from a very strict and a very strict environment when you were children, and that this tone and voice that your parents may have had with you may trigger you and may have given you the feeling that I will never be spoken to that way. I will always be heard. And when your child triggers you to come out of that space to be disrespected, what happens is you will react and respond from a survival space. If your child is back talking or not listening to you, one of the root causes can be when you were growing up, your opinion was not valued and you weren't heard. And another root cause for something around the academic success and wanting your children to thrive, one of the root causes can be that you didn't live out your aspirations. And so you are putting pressure and projecting your fear of success onto your kids. And when they're not acting right academically or emotionally or behaviorally in the school setting, you get triggered. And your children don't know where this is coming from. And this is why I'm doing this, for you to identify what your triggers are. And that's not all the triggers, but I wanted to name a few. So what I want you to do is find a place where you could be quiet for a little bit, because we're just gonna do some reflecting. And in this reflecting, I want you to get a journal, I want you to get a pen, and I'll wait for a little bit. And what you're gonna do is you're going to think about a time that your child triggered you. What feelings were you having in your body? What was going on? What were your thought process? What was happening? How did you want to respond? Did you see your child as your child, or did you see your child as somewhat like of an enemy of you protecting yourself? Did you go into survival mode? Because it's really easy to switch from a parent to a child, to being in survival, to being living, to being loving, to being caring, to being protecting yourself because of your own childhood wounds. Then I want you to think about how that incident that triggered you, how it brought up, and if any, childhood memories. Where did it take you? What did it connect with? And I'm not sitting here and saying that we're going to get right to the root cause and the issue and we're going to heal right away. But guess what? Because these habits formed over a period of time and they can't necessarily be gone in a moment. So I just want you to journal and navigate this process of understanding why you got triggered, where was the birthplace of this emotion and this feeling, so you can understand more of your parental triggers, and so you can heal, and so you can come from a very healed place for your children and for yourself. And so what we're going to do is navigate your parental triggers, understanding them, identifying them, healing them, and being able to parent from a purposeful place, not a hurt place, not a wounded place. And so next episode, we're going to talk about ways that we can heal and strategies and understanding. Your parental triggers are real. And I know your kids get on your nerves, but you love them so much. But the thing that is really important for you is that you heal yourself so that your kids don't have to carry your stuff. Because when they carry your stuff, they don't understand the road that they're walking because it's your stuff. And you got to tend to your stuff because it's not fair to them. They didn't ask for it. So check out next episode. Be well, be amazing, and most of all, be you.